Peace. What's up, my friend? I know I haven't been on live in a while, but here we are. And today I'm going to talk to you about a subject that is important to me, and I want to make it important to you. And that is, we're going to discuss meat specifically, and whether or not your body was designed for it. What's up? What's up? So come on in the room. Since we haven't done this in a while, let's reset the standards of what happens on these lives. First and foremost, when you come in the room, I'd love to know how your day is going. So in the comment section, drop a 1 if you're feeling great, drop a 3 if you need some upliftment, and collectively, we'll send you some good energy. The reason that we're going to be talking about were you designed to eat meat? Peace to you. Thanks for tuning in from Caraco. So the reason that we're going to have this conversation about are you designed to eat meat is because last weekend I spent time with my mentor, Dr. Milton Mills, and we were having a conversation. And in that conversation, he helped me realize some things that I already knew. But fast forward, I come back here to South Florida, right? And I'm having a conversation with someone who is justifying the consumption of animal products. And they say that, oh, well, we evolved to do it, or that we do it out of necessity. And I am challenging that belief. I'm challenging that thought. And I am outright saying that it's false. Just because you have adapted to eating something doesn't necessarily mean that you are meant to eat it or that it's going to work for you at an optimal level. So we'll break it down. There are three main reasons that there are several reasons, but there are three main reasons why the human body was not designed for animal product consumption. First and foremost is our physiology, our biology, how our bodies are constructed. There are two major components of how our body was constructed and put together by the Creator that did not include the consumption of meat. The first is your jaw structure, the way it moves, and the teeth that your jaw contains. I'm just going to sum that all up in one, even though it's three different things. But for the purpose of this live, we're going to make the structure of your jaw, the components of your mouth, as one component of your physiology. The second component of your physiology is your digestive system. It wasn't designed for it. And there are two components to why your digestive system wasn't designed for it. And then thirdly, we'll go to the cellular level of why your body wasn't designed for animal consumption. So let's start off with the physiology part and our jaw structure. So when you look at a carnivore's jaw structure, their jaws can only come up and down. That's all they do. They bite and they swallow. They don't chew their food. Why is that? We'll get into that. That's the second part. So as herbivores, we have these things called canines, right? These little semi-sharp, blunt, rounded teeth. And people will use this as a justification that we were meant to eat meat. But when you look at the canines of a true carnivore, a lion, a tiger, or a wolf, their canines sit a little bit further back, and their incisors that work more like scissors or knives that cut and rip the flesh apart so that it can be swallowed whole. So we talk about their jaw only moving up and down, and their teeth structure is different than ours. Now, as humans, or as herbivores, because our next closest component to an herbivore would be, let's look at any of them. We can look at a hippo, a gorilla, a rhino, or an elephant. All of these animals, ourselves included, our mouths go up and down to bite, and then they go side to side for mastication. Better word, for grinding the food. That's why our teeth in the back are flat. Carnivores don't have any flat teeth because they don't grind any of their food. The reason why we have the teeth structure that we have is to break down the cellular fibers of the plant foods that we're eating, hence the side-to-side motion. Again, carnivores' mouths don't go side to side, only up and down. So now we've talked about the teeth structure and the jaw structure of why us as humans are herbivores. I'm not even going to say omnivores, okay? We're herbivores. We're meant to eat food that comes from the earth. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains, things like that, right? Now, that's the first part of our physiology and biology. The second part of our physiology and biology is our stomachs. Or let's not even say stomachs, because it's our entire digestive tract, the entire digestive system. And I could do a whole live on just this portion of why the two are different. As a carnivore, their digestive system is, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, only 4 times the length of their body, which means it's very short in comparison to a herbivore's digestive system. Large intestine specifically is more than 10 times the length of our body. Why are these so different? Well, if a carnivore who's eating raw flesh had a digestive system 10 times as long, that means it would give that meat time to sit and rot and petrify and create all of these bacteria that would be reabsorbed into the system and make you sick. That is why oftentimes people that are heavy meat eaters have very severe health problems. So that's number one. The length and size of our digestive system are completely different and are not designed for the consumption of meat, because ours is too long and the meat can sit and petrify. The second part of your digestive system that is different than in animals, and they will say this, is your stomach acidity level. So a carnivore's acidity level is about a 1 or a 2. That's almost pure acid. This is why carnivores, true carnivores, can eat raw flesh. They can eat the bone. They can eat the fur. They can eat the feathers. They can eat the hide, because their stomach acidity level is high enough to burn all of that stuff off. Now, when you get to the human digestive system, our acidity level is at the lowest, like a 4. So that is twice, almost 200 times less acidic than a true carnivore's diet. So this is why we have to cook. As humans, you have to cook your flesh, because if you ate raw flesh all the time, it would petrify and you'd get sick. This is why you can't eat fur. This is why you can't eat feathers, because it will mess you up. So those are 2 of the 3 reasons on why the human body was not designed and ever meant to eat meat. Adaptation is not the same as evolution. Evolution means that you have physically changed your body to accommodate this new environment. We've just made adaptations. So an adaptation, and here's a form of an adaptation. Lions, tigers, and bears can run fast enough, and they have teeth and claws to actually catch and kill the animals that they're going after. An adaptation that man had to get, because we're not fast enough and we're not strong enough to kill most animals, it was the advent of tools. And this is one of the other misconceptions about us as humans as being meat eaters, is the idea that tools came about so that we could. Tools came about to make life easier, not so that we could eat meat. So they find these flints and stones and arrows and all these things. And to be honest, they were made for hurting other people more than they were killing animals. But in order for humans to even keep up and get in the race, we have to modify and create these things. So when did people start eating meat so much or at all? Great question. I'll come back to that. So adaptations. In order for us to catch and kill these animals, we needed something that could move faster than us. So we throw a rock, bow and arrow, eventually guns, and all of these things. Now, what else had to happen, an adaptation that needed to happen, is we found that eating raw flesh made you sick. So what was the adaptation that us as humans had to make for that? Fire. We have to cook that animal flesh in order for it to be digestible by our bodies. So again, that's an adaptation. That's not an evolutionary thing. Evolution is, I need to get over there because the trees have moved further away, so I grow this membrane that allows me to glide from tree to tree like a flying squirrel. That's an evolution. That's not an adaptation. So let's not get those two things confused here. So to give you a real answer, I don't know when people started consuming meat on a large scale. I would probably believe that it happened at the point where industrialized farming became popular, because even when you look at cultures throughout the world who do eat meat, they don't eat it as heavily as us here in Western society. So part of the whole reason that meat became such a big deal is, I believe it was sometime in the 1800s or early 1900s, I forget the exact date. There was a scientist that made it believe that protein was needed for muscle growth. Protein is not what's needed for muscle growth. You need amino acids. And here, which actually leads me into the third reason why the human body was not designed to eat animal flesh, is that, and I'm going to come closer so that you can hear me. Animal proteins create abnormal cellular growth. What do I mean by abnormal cellular growth? So when you eat animal proteins, it creates a chemical called IGF-1, which is a growth hormone. And this growth hormone signals cells to grow, even if they're not supposed to. I need you to understand this. And we were talking, so this goes into this thing called epigenetics. Epigenetics, epi means on top of. So think of your DNA as code that's inside your body. It's already pre-programmed. It's the hardware. It's the hardware for your body of how your cells are going to act. Your DNA is the hardware. Now, I want you to think of epi as the software that tells the hardware what to do. So epigenetics are things that tell or code that goes on top of the DNA that tells the DNA how to interact or react, or all of those words aren't wording right. So when you eat certain foods, they turn into compounds which interact with your cells, and they interact with the epigenetics. So what that means is there is code within your hardware that can be turned on or turned off. And depending on the food that you're eating, you're either turning that code on or you're turning it off. Give you an example. There is a code in your DNA that tells the DNA that it's time to die and be sent out of the body. Well, if you're eating tons of animal protein, that signal is blocked by the IGF-1 hormone. So now that cell doesn't know that it needs to die off, and it doesn't, and it becomes what's called immortal. It becomes an immortal cell, which now it's acting outside of its normal realm. And it's those immortal cells that don't die that can eventually become cancerous. So, to give a quick recap, because I got class that starts here in about 10 minutes, the human body was never designed that was the first thing I talked about, T. Appreciate you bringing that in. So the three reasons why the human body was never designed for animal consumption. One is our biology and physiology. We don't have the teeth, the jaw structure for it. Number two, our digestive systems. We don't have the large intestine for it, or the stomach acidity level, on top of a few other things. And the third reason is that animal proteins create abnormal growth within the body. If that is not a reason to not consume animal flesh, just go look at how it increases your insulin resistance, how it increases your cholesterol, how it increases your possibility for atherosclerosis, which is the building up of plaque around your heart. These are all reasons to stop consuming animal flesh today, not tomorrow, today. If you want to slow death, go for it. But if you want to have quality of life, I suggest you give it up. I will be having a masterclass here in the next couple of weeks talking about the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle versus a carnivorous lifestyle. If you're someone who is dealing with high blood pressure, dealing with type 2 diabetes, dealing with high cholesterol, dealing with weight gain that you haven't been able to lose, then I recommend you send me a DM, and as soon as the link is available, I will send you the link to sign up for the masterclass. In the meantime, if you like, Coach, I ain't got time to wait for that. I want your help. Send me a DM. Let's start a conversation. We can book a discovery call. On that discovery call, we'll go over the things that you're in, where you're at right now, but more importantly, give you a step-by-step game plan to move you towards where you want to go. That's it for today. Till the next time we meet, find your reason to live healthy. Peace.